Welcome back, guys, to another trade recap. Now, this trade was a little bit interesting, and I'm going to tell you why it worked out so well, and basically how I'm trying to approach the market, and as with every trade recap, right? But specifically, like, what I've been realizing after doing this session. This session has been rough, as you guys have been seeing. I've been, like, I was up 6%, then I lost all of it, and then I've been teeter-tottering below 50,000 and, like, above. Right now, I'm up 3% on the month. I'm slowly gaining back what I made in June, up 3%. Have a lot of losses here. How much is this? Like 5 to 4 wins. One thing to note is that my wins are actually turning out to be. I am getting full TP mostly. This would have been full TP if I didn't take a partial, but that is good because I think getting full TP makes a real huge difference, especially when you're taking like 1% losses. You really need those full TPs to account for these losses, right? So with that being said, this trade was very interesting, so let's just go through it, my thought process going into this, and why this trade worked out so well, and basically my non-negotiables that I was looking for to have a trade that worked out so well. Now, okay, so looking at the daily chart, right, we're determining what is our draw on liquidity, where are we most likely to go. So right off the bat, I saw that we did, like, this is a Wednesday. Technically we're on Thursday, but we're referencing the previous day, right? So on Wednesday, we swept out last week's Friday's low, and we actually had an SMT here. So from that, I'm like, okay, this is very bullish. So the draw on liquidity is going to be higher up here and here. I think we already went past this high on ES. I think ES is the leading asset right now. So if you wanted to take a buy, you would take it on ES as opposing to NASDAQ, just because NASDAQ is slightly lagging behind. I could be wrong about that. They look about roughly equal right now, but I did take this trade on ES just because it was a bullish run and I was trying to capitalize off of ES's ability to just go straight to the draw and not really F around, basically, right? So as you can see here on my drawings, I marked out this line here is just an SMT. I really probably should just put it as an SMT. Sometimes it's just so small that I don't think it makes any sense. Like you can barely see that, right? But there is an SMT here at these lows, and then we also had a sweep here on NASDAQ. So that was basically what I marked out on the daily, and then I just marked out my draw on liquidity here. Now, going to the 4-hour chart, now, what am I looking for? I'm marking out my 1800 candle, my 600 candle, and I'm looking to see if we have a relevant low or high put in. Now, coming into the day, we didn't really have anything. In fact, we didn't even have an SMT, no sweep, no nothing. So I was already a little bit skeptical, and for a long time, up until the 10 o'clock candle, I wasn't actually doing anything because I was like, there's no sweep. I need a sweep. And then I need to change the state of delivery. That was not delivered until later on, until that 10 o'clock candle opened, which is then when I decided to take a trade. Now, interestingly enough, so yeah, not really much to look at on the 1 hour. You're probably saying, well, you have lines here. Yeah, but I didn't recognize, these weren't there on the 1 hour, right? On the 4 hour, I mean. I think, it was the 1 hour I recognized this on. So I didn't really recognize anything on the 4 hour that really stood out to me. So coming down to the 1 hour now, as you can see, we do have this big SMT here. I think it's this line. So we already had this bullish SMT pointing us upwards. Now I need to see some SMTs in this local area where we are right now, right? So coming into market open, I did recognize that we had an SMT here at London lows here because on NASDAQ, London took Asia, but on ES, London did not take Asia. So that was one SMT. And then, again, up until the 10 o'clock candle, as you can see, we actually did have a run here on 9 o'clock all the way coming down here. But I think this was towards the end of the 9 o'clock candle, roughly. And then, yeah. basically, because you can see that the 10 o'clock candle opened here. So then 10 o'clock opened, and then that was when we got our second state of divergence, which is this two-stage SMT here, created by this candle coming down here, and then ES. As you can see, you can perfectly see why I did not take this trade on NASDAQ and why I took it on ES. ES was just the leading asset here, so it was definitely better to take it on ES. So with that happening there, I then decided to jump down to the lower time frame, which is our 3 or 5 minute, doesn't really matter, and then look for change in state of delivery. I was originally looking for it here, but that was never delivered. Then we came down once more on both assets, and then we finally had a change in state of delivery. I was a little bit hesitant about this because it is a change in state of delivery, but it just, it didn't really stand out too much. But I was like, you know what? It meets my criteria. I'm just going to take it. If it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, it doesn't. You can't be scared to take trades that meet your criteria necessarily, right? Yes, there's a level of discretion to it, but you have to still take based on your criteria, which is a sweep, two-stage SMT, and a change in state of delivery. We have a lot of confluences working in our favor here. So I entered right here at this stop at the bodies of this candle, and it just ripped. Could have put it at the wick. Smarter to put it at the wick, but if we were going to rip, especially since this was like 10:21 at this point, there's no reason for us to come back down here, most likely, unless price is effing around and just doing a bunch of things that we don't expect. But as you can see, came down and just went straight to the draw. Really nothing much, no effing around. NASDAQ also as well. Now, if you wanted to, so you could have targeted the this high, because this is a realistic high. But again, you could also use standard deviation here. But again, do not rely 100% on standard deviation. Standard deviation is just supposed to give you an idea. Realistically speaking, you want to still put your TP at realistic highs. This happened to work out because standard deviation was around this high, which is fine because usually we can shoot past highs that we're aiming to take out anyways. So this was a totally realistic target here, and NASDAQ is the same thing. We do have this strong liquidity. It could definitely get there, but if you wanted to have maybe another projection level, you can see that the standard deviation does overlap with this top thing. But realistically speaking, I'd probably just aim for this. But if you wanted to, maybe take your TP a little bit early, you could aim for here. Now, this would have been let's see what this would have been. If I'd taken it at here, stop, maybe at the bodies, and then targeted this would have been nearly 1 to 4. But I probably would have just targeted 1 to 2 just because it's low hanging fruit. I don't know. I think once I get a little more comfortable and a little more confident, which I am getting there with my taking trades and being more confident in the trades, I definitely can target those 1 to 3s. Now, let's see if we get up there. We do end up getting up there. That's a shame, but it's fine. You win some, you lose some. This trade was really beautifully done and executed. So yeah, that's amazing. I do think it's a little bit tough because I made the 6%, lost it. Like, July was a tough freaking month. Oh my god. But I think the biggest thing with July is just that my wins are just I'm not getting full TP, and I'm getting full max loss, which is mostly the issue. Because you can have a lot of losses and still come out positive, right? It really just is, like, this is a good instance here, which is kind of crazy because I had a lot of wins here, but the losses, I just ended up maxing 1%. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 losses. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 wins. And you're probably like, it's 50-50. How the hell did you not have a big R&R? The issue is that I'm not hitting full TP, right? And then on some of these days, I actually no, I have multiple 2 losses. I think if I just cut my losses and just taken 1 loss a day, my R&R would have been a lot higher. So I do need to work on that. Maybe just taking 1 trade a day. If it's a loss, just, own it and like move on to the next day. And if it's a win, again, own it and just move on to the next day. So I think that's a lot of I think those are like the biggest issues that I'm running into. I take a loss. I take multiple losses in a day, so that also really hurts my R&R. But then also I'm not reaching full TP. So I think those are the 2 biggest problems that I'm running into right now. In September, one of the good things is that I do have a lot of losses. Right now I have 1 more loss than I have a wins, but the difference is that these losses are 1%, and I'm mostly hitting full TP here in September. So regardless, the fact that I have more losses than wins doesn't matter because I'm still getting full max wins to cancel out these losses. And then on top of that, I'm only taking one loss a day. If I take one loss a day, that's it. If I get one win a day, that's it. As you can see, it makes a huge difference in the R&R. So I need to be a little bit more disciplined with that, not taking multiple trades a day and being definitely more selective with my trades. So I'm not eager to get back in when I take a loss. But obviously, full TP. I'm trying to be better with my timing, but sometimes the market just does not give you that full TP that you're looking for, and it just is what it is. I took a partial here because I didn't think I basically thought there was a chance that I wouldn't get full TP. So yeah, but as you can see, taking partials really cuts into the profit, so you have to be very mindful of that. With that being said, oh God. With that being said, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments. And with that being said, I will see you in the next one. Peace.